Hello YouTube, this is Thomas Judge, and I'm back this time with just hopefully a relatively brief update video on the channel. No bad news, reasonably good news, just generally just chatting about things. Thought I'd just take the opportunity to answer some general questions people have been sending me and messaging me and commenting and so on. So first things first, I have spent today updating and improving various bits on the channel. That means I've changed a whole load of thumbnails to make the thumbnails much more in keeping with what's kind of become the Thomas Judge style of Comic Sans and solid colors and images on one side, etc. So I've tidied up a lot of the older videos so the thumbnails look much more consistent. I've also finished curating the channel into distinct playlists and I've been organizing those playlists as well. And I've also updated pretty much all the description blurbs for all the videos to link to the playlists and so on and so forth. So to start off with, apologies if you've got loads of alerts or notifications on your YouTube subscription as a result of that. Hopefully you haven't done. Hopefully it should all happen seamlessly in the background. But if it hasn't, and it has actually been very visible and vocal on your phones or your tablets and so on, then sorry about that. I just thought today was a good time for me to just do a whole series of kind of administration and tidying up and polishing for the channel. I'm not quite done with that yet. There's going to be other stuff that I plan to do. There's still a few thumbnails I want to improve. There's still a few descriptions and links and so on that I want to improve. And I want to mess around with adding end cards to particular videos. So those are the things that have little floating tabs where you can press a button, the link is there, you can go straight to the next video and so on. I won't be doing that today, but I will be doing it at some point in the next few months, I imagine. Um, so yeah, that was the first thing. Just an update for that, just to let you all know that there's going to be some changes in how the channel looks. But don't worry, if you see a video that looks slightly different than it used to, it's probably just an updated thumbnail. But of course, feel free to check them out if you want. Um, so on that note, I just thought I'd quickly answer just some questions I've had over the last sort of couple of months on the channel. I thought this is as good a time as any to just kind of address that for the few human subscribers I have. I now have over 500 subscribers, which is slightly surreal, and I've got about 60,000 views on the channel, which is also slightly surreal. So I suspect some of you are actual human beings that like listening to me and hearing what I have to say and sort of picking my brains on various things, which is a bit of a strange experience, really. But as always, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you so much for getting involved. So let me just hit out some of the questions I've been getting. Well, the first question, I suppose, is why am I changing the thumbnails? No one's asked me that yet, obviously, but the reason is I'm just looking to professionalize and polish the channel a little bit, and I don't want to let it kind of stagnate. And if I can improve it and stay engaged with it much more than just dropping sort of thoughtless videos, then so much the better. I'm keen to sort of keep the channel from growing and improving all the time. Okay, on to the actual questions people ask me. So the first one is people have asked why I'm not on any of the Facebook groups or the Discords or any of those sorts of things. Um, yeah, I'm not, I'm afraid. I'm only on YouTube and I'm on Twitter, and that's it. I'm not on Facebook or anything else in any other kind of way. There's a lot of reasons for that. A large part of that is my mental health. Social media is a pretty damaging place to be in, and I'm quite fragile in my constitution. So I'm not really up for being in a place where there's just a lot of politics, antagonism, and conflict, I think is probably the best way to summarize it. As a result, I'm not in any of the omnibus groups and so on and so forth. And therefore, whilst you might see me in occasionally the occasional live chat for a Q&A for something like the Omnibus Collectors Group or Name It Condition or something like that, those are very infrequent appearances by myself. That said, I am sort of linked behind the scenes with several people in the community. I am a Patreon for several major players like Name and Condition, Hardcover Comic, Crushing Comics, things like that. And I have like personally chatted to and been in touch with people like the Omnidog and people like that and so on. So depending on what parts of the Facebook and comic community you're in, I am liminally attached to that. But yeah, unfortunately, that's not likely to get any more detailed or in depth anytime soon. Next question. Why are my videos all low res uploads? People have complained that it's not high def, super crisp 4K resolution for my videos. Lots of reasons for that. Firstly, I lost my job and lost my laptop and everything like a year or so ago during COVID, like a lot of people did. And as a result, I've been using an old smartphone as my Skycam setup. So the resolution is good, but it's not brilliant. Despite that, I deliberately export my videos into YouTube, or rather import them into YouTube, um, at medium resolution, so 720p. And the reason I do that is twofold. One, I'm not doing like PS5 versus PS4 comparison videos. I'm not doing 8K live streaming content. Like, you don't need to see everything I'm showing you in ultra crisp high resolution. And secondly, high resolution uploads, and I know this because I've got friends and other people that I know that live in other countries. High resolution uploads can kind of kill your bandwidth, and not everyone has amazing bandwidth. So depending on where you live and where in the world you live, high resolution videos can be a little bit of a barrier to entry. So whilst I didn't want to do low res uploads, I only do middle res, so 720p. And that's deliberate, and that's not likely to change unless I ever do a video that's specifically showing something about graphical fidelity. But to do that, I'd probably need to move into the video game space, which I'm not particularly keen on doing. Next question, why are the maps in weird formats? Yeah, that's a very good point. The maps on my website, nogodsorkings.com, are in a variety of formats. Some are in PDF, some are in JPEG, some are in PNG. And there's no real reason for that. I just haven't really standardized it. To be honest, one of the things that I want to do over the next year is rebuild all the maps and then standardize them into a much more coherent single format. But I may do a YouTube video to get your thoughts on that some later date as that project progresses. Linked to that, one or two people, and only one or two people, have asked me why is there such a big delay in publishing or self-publishing my next book, Army of One. There's been a lot of reasons for that. The first four books came out over the course of about 4 years, and the fifth book was meant to come out the next year, and then, of course, COVID happened. I suffered some serious mental health issues. I lost my job. There's a variety of things. So that delay has been pretty formidable. That said, I am still working on the book and it will be out at some point, hopefully this year. Next question. Why are my videos always stuck with these long, tedious intro and outro blurbs for every single video, even for every single video in a series? That's a fair question. The reason I do that is because my assumption is that every video is going to be someone's first video and first interaction with my channel. So it's always worth kind of introducing myself and doing a bit of an outro as well. If you don't like that, then just skip it, just forward it. Next question, why don't I show my face or when is the face reveal? I have shown my face and there has been a face reveal. I've done a podcast with another YouTube channel in the past and done that. I don't have any particular issue with showing my face or doing that, but frankly, it's a comic channel. Who cares what I look like? That's not really important. The important thing is what the comics look like. Right, next question. How did I get into making reading maps? That's a really good point. This was never really the plan for the channel. The plan was really just kind of me just talking about custom binds more than anything else. But reading maps are things that I make because I'm interested in making them. Like as I read a series of comics, I map them out and I tidy them up and I put them into a coherent order. And that's just something that I do for my own edification. And so as a result, it was kind of a case of, well, I'm doing it anyway. I wonder if anyone on the internet is interested. The first really big one that I did was the DC New 52 guide, and that's genuinely something that I'd say I made like 80% of that I made purely for my own benefit. And then it suddenly occurred to me, I thought, oh, maybe actually I could do a series of videos and there's maybe other people who'll care. But the majority of the reading maps that I do are purely because I read the comics and I'm interested. On that note, someone has also asked when will I do a reading map for, and then insert here. People have asked when I'm going to do a reading map for the Marvel Ultimate Universe. It's my plan, but at some point, I guess. And people have also asked, of course, when am I going to do a reading map for DC Rebirth? The DC Rebirth question is a really good one. I've done all of DC New 52. I've now collected almost all of DC Rebirth. At the time of writing, there is one final issue of the DC Rebirth universe that is still to come out, which is Batman Catwoman issue 12 by Tom King. Once that is out, every single DC Rebirth issue for my reading guide is going to be available. I read a few of them, but I'm going to dive in properly and do the full read through and make a map at that point. Prior to that point, I've been reading a lot of DC to build up to it, including doing a full read through of 20 years of Superman comics. So that's what's taking up my time. I want to get those finished. I'll have those reading guides on the channel, and then subsequent to that, the DC Rebirth guide will be out. So that's unlikely to be this year. Well, it's not going to be this year, but it's almost certainly going to be next year. On a related note, people sometimes ask me very optimistically, can I do a reading map for the entire Marvel universe or the entire DC universe and that sort of thing? And generally, initially, I viewed that as quite a ridiculous thing to ask me to do. Like, it's just a huge task, it's kind of impossible. But actually, more and more over time, as I think about it, I keep on thinking that'd be kind of a cool thing to do. It wouldn't be quick by any means. It might take me 5 years, 10 years, however long. But yeah, maybe I will actually do that. Maybe I will actually at some point slot together all my reading guides because it'd be great to have a reading guide for example, 90s X-Men slotted in with Bendis era Adventures, slotted in with Cosmic Marvel, slotted in with the Black Panther guide I've done, and all the various other bits, and just start having them all clicking together like Lego. That would be great. But to do that, there's a variety of things I need to do as well as reading the comics, um, including I'd need to improve or update or substantially change my website so that it had the appropriate software to host kind of a massive interactive reading map. That said, I am looking into that, so maybe one day, everybody. Anyway, on that note, that's all I've got time for today. Just wanted to check in and say hey. Thanks everyone for the support. Oh, and if you have been watching and keeping up with the channel recently, you'll notice I'm dropping weekly Valiant videos. I'm well in advance of where I am. I think I've dropped 4 or 5 of the Valiant videos so far, but I've actually so far read about 25 of my hardcovers. So all the videos are made well in advance, and I'll be dropping them once a week. Please don't think it's going to become a Valiant exclusive channel for the next year. That is not the case. There's a whole load of videos I'm planning to rack up over the next few months. Quite a lot of them, or the majority of them, are DC related as I start aiming towards DC Rebirth. But there's going to be some Marvel stuff, there's going to be some other reading guides, there's going to be some overviews. So don't worry. Whilst the weekly Valiant videos are coming out, there's going to be a lot of stuff in between. And it'll be great to hear your thoughts on it. So, thanks for listening to me ramble on, everybody. Until next time, stay classy.